everybody. Welcome to the Glenn Kuiper Show, All Giants, a pregame edition, as it's the Giants and the Dodgers tonight from Oracle Park. That game going to start in a little over an hour, about 6:05. So we'll do a pregame show. We'll get you close to first pitch, and then you can flip on NBC Sports Bay Area and listen to Dwayne and Mike. But we'll do our best to get you ready for the ball game. So we are super excited. It's going to be a fun show. I'd like to tell you what we're going to cover. The Mets lost again. They gave it up late. The Rangers beat the Mets 3-2. So believe it or not, the Giants are tied with the Mets for the third wild card spot. Unbelievable. I don't think any of us thought that we would be saying that this year. But they have done it. They've bounced all the way back, and the Mets have just really gone in the tank. And that's where we're at as we get set for the game tonight. So that will be the theme of the night, the fact that the Giants are tied for the third wild card spot. But we're gonna go back and look at last night. I was at the ballpark. It was phenomenal. It was one of the best experiences I've had in a couple years at that park. The place was just it was pretty cool, and obviously the ending was special. So we're going to talk about that. We'll preview tonight's game with a great pitching matchup of Webb and Kershaw. So always good stuff there. And then we'll take obviously a quick look at that the wild card race to tell you who's where and who's doing what, who's hot, who's not around baseball right now. And then we're going to finish up with something that I thought it was fun. And the matchup tonight with Webb and Kershaw kind of got me thinking a little bit. We've talked about Webb as a Cy Young candidate. We know Kershaw, he's won multiple Cy Youngs. So it got me thinking about the San Francisco Giants history with the Cy Young Award. So we're going to go back and do a little history lesson there and look at that, which we like to do. So that'll certainly be fun. So, but before we get going, we got to tell you about our sponsors, good people here. As an investor, one of the best places to put your money in is California's multifamily real estate. By investing with Tilden Properties, you'll see quarterly dividends and equity buildup in the real estate market. Bay Area-based family-owned Tilden Properties has been building investment wealth for their clients since 2008. Go to their website and check out their portfolio. It is very, very impressive. You want to jump aboard Tilden Properties, call them at 925-209-8558. And we're also brought to you by the Kehrig Real Estate Team. Whether you're moving up, downsizing, or making your first home purchase, trust the Kehrig Real Estate Team to guide you home. They've been doing that since 1978. Contact Mike Kehrig today for a free home sale or purchase consultation. Call Mike at 925-548-4132 or go to their website at kehrigteam.com. All right, so let's get started, and we're going to start with last night. Man, it was so much fun. I got to tell you, if you weren't there, I wish you would have been. I know it's fun to listen to Dwayne and Mike on TV; they're great. But boy, being at the ballpark last night was awesome. So much to talk about. I watched the game with FP Santangelo. We all know FP, great friend of mine. And we actually watch a lot of games together when I'm at the ballpark. He's there, and we like to sit and kind of kick the game around, and it's almost like we're announcing the game. We're talking about it. We're kicking ideas back and forth, which they should have done, what they shouldn't have done. And we high-fived at the end of that one because it was pretty cool. Justin Verlander, terrific. Got to give this guy credit. He has, I guess you could say, turned his season around. I always thought he was pitching better than his numbers. I think most people would agree with that. But last night, man, he was good. 7 innings. 4 hits, 1 run, 4 strikeouts. He threw 105 pitches, 7 innings for Verlander. We've seen him pitch well this year, but not always go deep into games. Maybe throw more pitches than he would like in 5 innings. But last night, again, 105 pitches in 7 innings. And, he was super. It's almost like he rose to the occasion. He felt it, playoff atmosphere. And Verlander himself said it was one of the best regular season atmospheres that he's ever pitched in. Think about that. This is a guy who just reached 20 years of big league service. I think he did it yesterday, as a matter of fact. So think about that. 20 years of big league service, all the games he's pitched in. And he said that was as exciting and as good of an atmosphere as he's seen in a regular season game. So last 4 starts for Justin Verlander, 24 innings pitched, 3 earned runs. If you're into ERAs, that's 1.12. The guy has really pitched well. In fact, in the second half, his ERA is 2.95 in the second half of the season. So again, one of those things that we've kicked around is, should you think about bringing Verlander back next year? 2 months ago, everybody was like, absolutely not, no way. And then it was like, well, I don't know, maybe, but probably not. I think it's something that the Giants will think about. I mean, he really has pitched extremely well in the second half. And I think it has to be at least a possibility. We've seen it this year. Pitchers get injured, man. The Giants, they had 7 or 8 starters coming out of spring training, and all of a sudden, they're down to 3 with a couple of rookies starting. It just, trades happen, injuries happen. So I think it's a conversation for the offseason that is a legitimate thought, is to keep Verlander. But anyways, we shall see. But all in all, he was one of the main topics last night. And for the year now, he's made 26 starts. And again, that ERA now under 4 at 3.94. So some of my thoughts from the game, as I said, the atmosphere was great. A lot of Dodger fans again. And that almost made the atmosphere even better, because Conforto hit the home run to tie the game. And man, it was like, oh, are we at Dodger Stadium? But then Giants fans kind of took over, and obviously they got the last laugh. I thought one of the things that, again, defense sometimes goes not unnoticed, but maybe a little overlooked, especially in tight games. But in any big league game, you can find a couple defensive moments in the game that usually decide not every game, but decide many games as far as who wins the game. And if you think about it, in the very first inning last night, bottom of the first, when the Giants got their run, Devers is at first. Adames hits the double in the gap, and I was watching Devers run, and he got to third, and I wasn't sure if Matt Williams was sending him, or I was looking kind of at the ball in left center and trying to look at both. But it ended up, Pages, the center fielder, juggled the ball at the wall, and the official scorer said it was an error because he thought that Devers scored because of the juggle in the outfield. So I'm not sure exactly what happened, but the point is I think if Pages fields that cleanly, picks it up at the wall, gets it back in quickly, and does it cleanly, I'm not sure Devers tries to score. But he did score. That's the only run the Giants scored for the next 8 innings. So again, maybe a small thing, and it was a small bobble. But I do think that the bobble allowed Matt Williams to wave Devers home, and then he scored, and it went as an error, no RBI. Defensive play seemed like a small thing at the time. No, it wasn't, because it got the Giants the first run. And again, it was a 1-1 game after 9 innings. And then in the top of the fourth, I thought it was huge. Dom Smith made a nice play on a Conforto ball, got it to Verlander for the second out with a couple of runners on. And if he doesn't make that play, the bases are loaded and things are going to get weird, right? And then the next hitter is when Matt Chapman made the sensational play. You think about that play. There were runners on second and third, right? Second and third, 2 outs in a 1-0 game. Chapman dives to his left, takes a base hit away, and then the great stretch by Smith. Unfortunately, he was injured, but the call stood. You think about that play. If Chapman doesn't make that play, 2-run score. If Dom Smith doesn't get the great stretch and go all out, 1 run is going to score. So that's huge. It's a 1-0 game. So think about those defensive plays right there. And even Casey Schmidt made a nice play, speared a line drive. That was in the 5th inning. That would have been a leadoff single. He made a really nice play on that. So it's those defensive things, right? And then the 2 big plays, of course. Pages, the center fielder, throwing out McRae, and then McRae throwing out Roarford trying to go to third. So those were the 2 that stood out. And I do want to say, and obviously there's going to be a lot of talk about should McCray have been. So I was absolutely in favor of sending him. He's got a really good arm. It was a short fly ball. We all know that. But I think when you have a chance to win the game right there in the bottom of the ninth inning, I think you have to force the issue. McCray's a very, very fast runner. Obviously, it didn't work, but you made Pajes, the center fielder, make a perfect throw. And I don't think there's any disagreement here that it was a perfect throw. He's got a great arm. He threw it right there on the fly. Royford, the catcher, really just he was about a foot up the line, perfect spot. And McCray was out, by a fair amount. But I just think I was okay with it. And I would think most people are okay. Try to win the game there. It was not a ridiculous send. It really wasn't. If that throw is 3 feet one way or 3 feet the other way, McCray's going to be safe. You force the center fielder, you force the defense to make a play, and they did. He made a great throw, and they got him. But I was okay with the send. I think you got to try. There's been a couple times this year where the guy wasn't sent. So it didn't work, but I was okay with McCray being sent by Matt Williams. And then McCray makes the great throw. You could just go on and on. Bailey wins it with the grand slam. That's all the highlights. What I liked about that is Bailey, he took a slider, was a ball, and then the first fastball that he saw, he took a rip at. And I've been saying that all along. I think sometimes Giants hitters take too many pitches, take too many fastballs for strikes, especially with runners on base. Bailey saw the first one he got, the first fastball, he liked it. And obviously the results were special, So anyway, so much going on. You got to give credit to Yamamoto, the Dodger guy. I mean, this guy is really, really good. He one hit. The Adames double was the only hit he allowed. He struck out 10. And remember, his last start, he was in Baltimore, and he had a no-hitter. He was 1 out away from a no-hitter. This guy's really, really good. And hey, you're going to see him for a long time. He's going to be a Dodger for a long time. But the splitter is terrific. The fastball's got good life and good velocity. He's got a really good breaking ball. I mean, saw something on social media, threw 3 pitches to Matt Chapman, and they kind of overlaid them. And each pitch about halfway to home plate was in the exact same spot. And then one was the fastball, one was the slider breaking down, and one was the splitter breaking down. But halfway to home plate, they were all in the same spot. And I that's a great way to look at how tough it is to hit when a guy's got great stuff. In fact, that video that I saw on X, I actually reposted it. So check it out on my X account because it showed just how good this guy was. And he was nasty. So he got to give him some credit. But all in all, Giants get their 11th walk-off win of the year. That's the most of the majors. So it's been fun. They had a downturn there for a month and a half to 2 months in the middle of the season. But that all seems to be forgotten, or at least close to forgotten, because of this great stretch they're on. But last night was great. It was one of the best nights I've had at the ballpark in a long, long time. And before the game, there was excitement. It was like a playoff game. Everybody around the batting cage, and so you'll probably get that same type of atmosphere tonight at the ballpark. So all good stuff. So tonight you get the great pitching matchup of Logan Webb and Clayton Kershaw. How about that? Is that awesome? Logan Webb 14-9. Clayton Kershaw, even still, pitching great. He's 10-2 on the year. And Kershaw, with all those injuries to the Dodgers pitchers, he kind of saved them there for a while. But he's pitched great, and we know how good he is against the Giants. Against the Giants in his career, he's beat them 27 times. He's 27-16 with an ERA right at 2 in his career versus the Giants. So he's got 5 shutouts. He's made 59 starts against the Giants. So we've seen it. He doesn't throw as hard as he used to, but cutter's really good. The big curveball's still there. He's still really tough. And after what happened last night, listen, guys like Kershaw, they see what's going on. Dodgers limping a little bit, although they had a 4-game winning streak coming in, but it was Colorado. So I wouldn't be surprised if you get a good Kershaw tonight. Wouldn't be surprised at all. And Logan Webb, he's in this conversation for Cy Young, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But Webb, he's got 14 wins, and 2 of those wins have come against the Dodgers this year. So he has beat LA twice. Back at Dodger Stadium on a Friday night in June, he went 7 innings, pitched great, got a win. And then in San Francisco on the 11th of July, it was a Friday night as well. He got knocked around a little bit, but the Giants scored a bunch of runs early, and then they hung on. Remember that game ended with a double play ball. It ended up being a 1-run win for the Giants. Well, that was Webb's start, and even though he gave up 6 runs, he did get the win. So 14 wins this year, 2 against the Dodgers. So it's going to be a terrific matchup tonight. Webb, Kershaw, and that game, again, it's going to get started in about 45 minutes or so. Let's take a quick look at before I give you the lineups, I do want to let you know that the Giants did make a move today. Dom Smith, which is not unexpected, unfortunately, when he made that stretch last night. Hurt his hamstring a little bit, so he's on the injured list. So that's not great. Dom Smith he's been terrific. So Dom's down. Gerard Encarnacion brought up, a right-handed hitter, and he is in the lineup tonight. So how about that? So anyway, so that's that roster move that the Giants made today, which unfortunately, watching Smith last night, not unexpected. So he's going to be out probably the rest of the regular season. So let's take a quick look at the lineups for the Dodgers. Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Muncy, Hernandez, Conforto, Pajes, Rojas, and Rortvedt. And Muncy's in there. Remember, Muncy got hit last night, and then he came out of the game. So I was curious to see if he would be in there tonight, but Muncy is in there. So that's the Dodgers lineup. And the lineup for the Giants: Ramos, Devers, Adames, Chapman, Flores, Schmidt, Encarnacion, Matos, and Bailey. Matos is in center field, so Lee is not playing. So your outfield is Ramos in left, Matos in center, Encarnacion in right. So that's the lineup for tonight. And we'll see what that right-handed hitting lineup, except for Devers, can do against Clayton Kershaw. All right, before we move on to our next segment, as I always do, I like to check my comments, see how everybody's doing. Let's check in. All right, I'm just going to shoot right down here and read some of these, which I like to do. Daniel S. says, holy smokes, the Mets might be cooked. Well, I don't know if they're cooked, but they are scratching their head. 8 in a row at the worst possible time. And they had a huge lead as far as them being in the postseason. And you know what, too? In the loss column, the Mets have 1 more loss than the Giants. The loss column is a big deal when you start looking at the standings and how the Mets have the tiebreaker over the Giants, but the Giants actually have won or have lost 1 less game. That's a big deal. The loss column is a big deal. So anyways, another thing to look at. But the Rangers today beat those Mets. 49er Red Zone says, good evening, the great Glenn Kuiper. I don't know if I would say great. I would say my viewers are great because they've been with me from day one, and we're building this thing, and it's going great. So, but 49er Red Zone, I appreciate it, and I'm going to start throwing in some NFL talk. In fact, I was thinking about doing it tonight, 49er Red Zone, just look at their game coming up tomorrow in New Orleans just a little bit. But I thought, you know what? This is such a big deal. Giants, Dodgers, and now the Giants are tied. I just didn't know if it was I just didn't know if it fit into the show tonight. So I hope you can forgive me, Red Zone. But I am going to start doing that. And good luck to the Niners tomorrow as they are down in New Orleans to take on the Saints. Giants Daily, last night's crowd was as loud as Travis Ishikawa in 2014. Well, how about that? It sounds like Giants Daily was at the game. It was loud. It was super loud. And even when, like, the Bailey thing, the place just went off. The roof, blew up. But there was other, there was the Chapman play and the Conforto home run. It got really loud, and Verlander strikes. It was really cool. It was really cool, and I hope it's the same tonight. And I hope it's the same when the Giants come back for that final homestand. And there's no reason to think that it won't. Robert says, hopefully Smith can be back if the Giants make it in. His defense is premium. Yeah, his defense, we talk about his hitting, and he has shown to be a pretty good hitter. In fact, he's hitting around 280. But I think his defense has been his biggest plus for the Giants this year. He gives nice at-bats, puts the ball in play, which he fits kind of nice in there because, like we've talked about, there's guys that strike out a lot, but his defense has been terrific. So let's hope maybe it is just a 2-week thing, and maybe if the Giants do get into this postseason, he could be back. Because if he were back, there's no reason to think that the Giants probably wouldn't have him out there at first base, just because how good he is with the defense. So let's hope so. We wish Dom the best of luck, and let's get him back. Let's see. Gary says Patrick Bailey had to be really happy for that guy. Yeah, it's been a grind for Bailey. And he's got a lot of criticism for his hitting. I've talked about it here. An area that I think the Giants need to look for more offense to complement Bailey. But the last month or so, you got to give him credit. He's been pretty good with the bat, and he's hit the ball in the ballpark. He's won some games. So he does deserve credit. You know what? If we're going to criticize a guy for not carrying the weight offensively, and then when he starts doing it, we need to tell him that, and we need to praise him for that. I'm a big advocate of that. I don't mind criticizing people or saying, hey, they need to be better there. But when they do things good, then we need to prop them up and say, you know what? He's starting to do that. He's starting to play better. He's starting to hit better. And it's been a grinder for Bailey this year offensively, but it has not affected his defense. He's been terrific behind the plate as always, and he's had some huge hits, none bigger than last night. So absolutely, you know what? Let's give the guy his props because he deserves it. The offense has been really good, for a while now, and that's a big deal. So Marcanda says I would have offered Yamamoto $360 million. He's always been the real deal. Hate seeing a fellow countryman in Dodger blue. Yeah, I think, Marcanda, I truly believe that Yamamoto was going to go to the Dodgers no matter what. But a good agent says, you know what? Nobody's going to know that. And I'm going to get some other teams involved, and I'm going to jack up the price. That's what you do as a good agent. But Ohtani was always going to go to the Dodgers. Yamamoto was always going to go to the Dodgers. The young guy they got from Japan, Sasaki, who's been hurt, but he's got a chance to be terrific. There was a bidding war for him. I think he was always going to go to the Dodgers. It's a great organization, and they spend money, and they're always going to be good. They're always going to have talent. They're always going to have a chance at the World Series. So, the Giants made a run for him, and they liked him a lot. Everybody liked him a lot, but I just felt like all along, I think a lot of these Japanese players they like the idea of playing for the Dodgers for obvious reasons, because they're very good, So, you know what? He's terrific, and we're just going to have to get used to seeing him. Gary says, since the 13th of June, the New York Mets have a record of 31-48. Yeah, that's hard to believe. That's hard to believe. The Mets with all that money in there, payroll huge, and listen, they're scratching their head. I mean, listen, we were doing this with the Giants for a month and a half, 2 months, trying to figure out what the hell is going on. These guys were good, and now they're not good, right? So Giants fans went through this a little bit, but you don't want to be going through it with 2 weeks of the season left and you're desperately hanging on for a wild card spot. So, but listen, we've all been there. We tried to figure this thing out in the middle of the summer, what was wrong with the Giants. So I don't think anybody's going to show much sympathy. All right, let's get back to the show. I love checking in with the great comments. Our guys are good and our gals are good. Let's see. Yeah, let's do a who's hot and who's cold. Kind of fun. We'll do the wild card stuff and then a kind of a who's hot and who's cold. But now that National League wild card now, the Mets with their 8th consecutive loss today, and the Giants are now tied. Okay, and here's the thing that's a little bit interesting. So the Giants are 75 and 72. The Mets are 76 and 73. So again, that's where the loss column comes in, and the Giants actually have one less loss. That's a big deal. Okay, the Reds are now a game back, and the Diamondbacks are 2.5 back with that Mets loss. So obviously, everybody picked up a half a game, and now everybody's going to play their portion of tonight's schedule, and we'll see what happens at the end. So Giants have a chance to, with a win, take over the 3rd wild card spot. Isn't that crazy? It's crazy. So anyways, so who's hot, who's not? Obviously, we know the Giants are. They've won 14 out of 18. We all know what's going on there. And think about this. If you want to fantasize a little bit and think ahead, if the Giants were to pull this off and get the 3rd wild card spot, okay, if they did, the probability is like 95% that they would, because they'll be with the last wild card team. The last wild card team plays the division winner with the 3rd best record. That is more than likely going to be the National League West winner. So if you win the 3rd wild card spot in the National League, you are going to play either the Dodgers or the Padres on the road in a 3-game series. How about that? How about going to Dodger Stadium for 3 or going to San Diego for 3 in the postseason? It's a crazy thought. It's a crazy thought, but that's what's going to happen. Just look at the standings. You can kind of see what's going on here. But that last wild card team goes on the road to play the division winner with the 3rd best record, and that's going to be almost for sure the National League West. So crazy. Phillies are hot. Phillies have won 5 in a row. They're going to win the National League East by a ton. They've won 12 out of 15. They're winning again at home, 8-5 over Kansas City. So Philly's trying to win their 6th straight. The Mariners are hot. Mariners, they've won 7 in a row, and gosh, I mean, they are now tied with they're tied with the Astros for the AL West. They had lost 6 out of 7. Now they've won 7 in a row. The Rangers are hanging around. Rangers won today, of course. So they've won 6 in a row. It's crazy. It is crazy. Astros limping a little bit, but still holding on to that tie for first place. And keep an eye on the Astros just for fun. I know maybe you don't watch the American League quite as much, but this time of year with so many different pennant races going on, don't miss these great games. This week or next week, starting on Monday, the Astros will play 3 against the Rangers and 3 against the Mariners. And just take a look at the American League West and see how tight it is. It'll be interesting to see what is going on at the end of next week in that division. But right now, Mariners are super hot. Rangers are hot. Astros are limping along a little bit. Anyways, so those are kind of the hot teams. And if you look at who's really struggling, it all goes back to the Mets. They've now lost 11 out of 14 to go along with the 8 in a row. So just crazy stuff. And there was a team who clinched today. The Milwaukee Brewers clinched a playoff spot. They haven't clinched the division yet, but they clinched a playoff spot. So we have our first postseason entry. It's the Milwaukee Brewers, who have had a sensational year. Brewers are 90 and 58. So they are in the postseason. They're the first of 12 teams that will get into the postseason. So congratulations to the Brew Crew. A lot of fun in Milwaukee right now with what is really a pretty fun team, and they deserve it. And they got a 6-game lead, so they're gonna win that Central. And we'll see how they do in the postseason. Once you get to the postseason, you just never know. All right, I want to shift gears. Here's my next segment, and again, this has to do with Webb. He's always in the Cy Young talk. Clayton Kershaw. He knows all about Cy Youngs. He's got a bunch of hardware. So it got me to thinking. The Giants have been in San Francisco. This is their 68th year, Okay. So we've seen a lot of San Francisco Giants baseball. There's people out there who are older than I am, who, probably went to Seal Stadium, went to Candlestick Park. I've seen it all, right? So there's been some great pitchers and pitching performances in a single year in those 67 years. And this is year number 68. So you're thinking, well, there's got to be, what Cy Young, that's it, right? That means you had a great year. That means you're the best pitcher in the league, right? So you think about the 60s. It was Hall of Fame. It was Gaylord Perry. It was Juan Marichal. And I looked up Gaylord's numbers with the Giants. And, of course, Gaylord not with us anymore, but terrific, long career, Hall of Famer. He had 314 career wins. Many of those came with the Giants. But in 1966, Gaylord Perry went 21-8. In 1970, he went 23-13. Now, this is a different time, obviously. Guys pitched more innings and stuff. But think about those 2 years, right? Gaylord Perry, as a member of the San Francisco Giants, never won a Cy Young. He did win a Cy Young later in his career in 72 with Cleveland, and then again in 78 with San Diego. But all the great years, and I just named a couple of great years. Look at his career with the Giants. This guy, he was terrific. But he never won a Cy Young in San Francisco. Juan Marichal, the Dominican daddy's got a statue out in front of the ballpark, right? What does that tell you? Just about everything you need to know. 243 career wins, all of them except for 5 coming with the Giants. Listen to some of these seasons. In 1963, Juan Marichal went 25-8 with a 2.41 ERA, and he led the league in innings pitched. In 1968, he was 26-9 with a 2.43 ERA, and he led the league in innings pitched. 1968. He had a 7-year stretch from 63 to 69 where he won 20 or more games in 6 of those 7 years. Juan Marichal never won a Cy Young award. Surprising? Yeah. Never won a Cy Young. Should have won. Well, the numbers say in 68, come on, 26 wins, 2.43. But that was the Bob Gibson year when Gibson had an ERA of 1.12. So you got to give it to Bob Gibson. But that was probably Marichal's best overall year. But it was too much Bob Gibson. But Marichal and Gaylord Perry, all those great years in the 60s, neither of them ever won a Cy Young. So chronologically, move ahead a little bit. And you know what I thought of? I thought of Vida Blue in 1978. You remember Vida Blue got traded from the A's to the Giants, big trade. There was like 8 people involved. So Vida comes to the Giants, and the Giants have a pretty exciting year in 78, right? And Vida is great. Pitching for the Giants. The Bay Area knew him because of all the great years he had with the A's, and Giants fans fell in love with this guy, and he has a terrific season. Vida Blue, 18-10 with a 2.79 ERA in 1978, but not enough. He finished 3rd in the Cy Young voting. So Vida never got one for that one great year that he had in San Francisco. There's other names. I may be missing a name, and if I am, I apologize. But then you look at, Jason Schmidt. Remember how good Jason Schmidt was? And then you get Lincecum, and you get Kane, and you get Bumgarner, and now you have Webb, and you have all these great names. And like I said, I'm probably missing a couple, right? So it got me thinking, well, how many San Francisco Giants won a Cy Young? Okay. None of those first guys got it. Jason Schmidt never won one. Madison Bumgarner never won. But you know who did? Mike McCormick, a very good left-handed pitcher who was with the Giants actually when they were in New York. But in 1967, think about all these great pitchers around Major League Baseball in the 60s. Koufax, Drysdale, the 2 Giant players. There's you could go on and on, right? And Mike McCormick put together a terrific season in 1967 for the San Francisco Giants, and he was the National League Cy Young Award winner. He was 22-10 with a 2.85 ERA and 5 shutouts. So we don't hear much about Mike McCormick. Unfortunately, Mike passed away. I got to know him from working Giants fantasy camps. Terrific guy. Just one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Real soft-spoken, but was very proud of that, as he should be. But he was the first San Francisco Giant to win a Cy Young. And then who else? Well, the name that pops up is Tim Lincecum. Correct. Lincecum won it in back-to-back years, 2008 and 2009, right? And strikeouts. I mean, just for fun, you look up Lincecum, and he had, the career maybe wasn't as long as we had all hoped. But, man, there was about a 5 or 6 year stretch there where he was so fun and so good. In 2008, he had 265 strikeouts in 227 innings, Cy Young. And then he followed that up in 2009 with 261 strikeouts in 225 innings. And he won the Cy Young in back-to-back years. But that's it. So 3 times a San Francisco Giant won the Cy Young. Mike McCormick in 67, Lincecum in 2008, and Lincecum in 2009. You would think, because of the great history and all the great pitchers, and most organizations could say, oh, yeah, we have tons of great pitchers. But that's it. Not taking anything away from some of these guys that had great years, but I think if you just thought off the top of your head, you'd say, yeah, Marichal won. Yeah, probably. There's really 4 or 5 guys. Nope, just 3. 3 in the history of the Giants. So I wanted to have some fun with that. I like to do the history thing once in a while for you guys. And with who's pitching tonight, it just kind of got me thinking a little bit about the Cy Young thing. 3. McCormick, Lincecum. That's it. Okay, so let's finish the show. And I put something together that I was going to wait, but we have some time to do it. And it's pretty funny. And it has to do with what we're talking about, the wild card, right? Everybody's talking about the wild card. It's a big deal, right? And it all started in 1995. That's when Major League Baseball added 1 wild card team to each league. Remember, that's also the year they went to 3 divisions. So you had 3 division winners and 1 wild card in each league. So you had 8 total postseason teams with the 2 wild cards. Okay, and then in 2012, Major League Baseball said, we're going to add a second wild card team to each league. So then you had 3 division winners and you had 2 wild card teams in each league. So now you had 10 total teams make the playoffs, which is 33%, right? You got 10 teams. So 33% of your teams are making it. But at that point, that's when a lot of fans and a lot of media people, I remember talking about, oh, they added a second wild card. And I remember this being a significant complaint at that time, is that, well, now we're going to have teams making the playoffs who record is 500, or maybe even you may have a team that won't even be 500, but they're going to get in. And I disagree with that completely. I remember thinking, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. There's too many teams, and if one team goes bad, somebody else is going to jump over there. We're not going to have, even with the 2 wild cards, and now we got 3, but we'll get to that in a minute. But even with the 2 wild card teams that were added in 2012, we're not going to have a team make it that's under 500 or at 500. It's not going to happen. Okay, it's not going to happen. And then you remember in 2022, Major League Baseball added a 3rd wild card to each league. So now you got 3 division winners, 3 wild card teams, 6 in each league. So you got a total of 12 teams making the postseason. So that's 40%. Some people feel like that's a little bit high. I'm okay with that number, but I don't really want it to get any higher. I hope when they go to expansion and add 2 more teams, they keep it at 12. I think 12 is as high as you really want to go. But I remember when they did that, that same complaint came out big time, even more, because now you got a 3rd team. And it started in 2022. So we've had 3 years of the 3rd wild card team. But that was the big complaint again. Oh, now we're definitely going to have, at some point, somewhere, down the line or some year we're going to have a postseason team that's going to be 500 or below. And I said it again. I said, that's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. There's too many teams, and somebody's going to get hot, and a team that goes in a slump and drops to 500, well, they're going to fall by the wayside, and somebody's going to jump in. It's not going to happen. Okay. I will stick with that through and through. So what I did is I looked at when Major League Baseball added that second wild card. So at that point, from 2012 to 2021, I'm not counting 2020. So you had two wild cards in each league. So I was like, well, what kind of records did that second wild card team have in each league at the end of the year? Since everybody was worried about, it's going to be a 500 team. Somebody's going to get in. So I looked it up. And what happened is the two wild card teams over that stretch of 9 years, okay, the number two wild card team in the American League, number two wild card team in the National League. For each season, I looked it up, added up, their average win total for the season was 90. Okay, think about that. Okay, average win total was 90. And the lowest win total for the number two wild card team in any of those years was 85. That was the 2017 Minnesota Twins. And let's not forget, one of those number two wild card teams was the San Francisco Giants in 2014, and they won the World Series. So everybody was worried about, second wild card team's going to have a 500 record. No, they average 90 wins. Okay, now 2022, they add the third wild card team. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is going to be bad. We're going to have a team get in at 81 and 81. That's not going to happen. So I looked it up. So we only got 3 years of this. So it's a smaller sample size because it started in 2022. So 22, 23, 24. Okay. So if you look it up, 3 years. So that's 6 number 3 wild card teams total, right? What was their win total average? The number 3 wild card team in the last 3 years, since it's been a thing, has averaged 87 wins. 87 wins. So if that's your record, 87 and 75, that's not a terrible record. It's not close to 500. And that's the third wild card team's record average. So do you see what I'm saying? Okay. So, and if you really want to dig deeper into it, in 2022, the Phillies were the third wild card team. They went to the World Series. They lost, but they went to the World Series as the third wild card team in the National League. In 2023, the very next year, Arizona was the third wild card team. What happened there? They went to the World Series. They lost to the Rangers. You know what the Rangers were? The number 2 wild card team. All I'm saying is we're not going to have a postseason team, a wild card team with a 500 record or a losing record. It's not going to happen. It's a silly argument, and it's not going to happen. And the numbers back it up. I just gave them to you. The number 3 wild card team, since it's been in existence, has averaged 87 wins. So, with all this talk about the third wild card, and some people are like, but I mean, the Giants, they're just a couple games over 5. Well, you have to wait to the end of the year. And then you have to see who wins that wild card. Right? And then see what their win total is. And what the win total is probably going to be, whether it's, whoever wins this thing. And we're talking about the National League wild card, right? Whoever wins this, whether it's the Giants or the Mets or the Reds, they're going to have 85, 86, 87 wins, right? And if you look at the American League, the wild card there, that last wild card team, could be the Astros, could be the Mariners, could be the Rangers. They're all kind of fighting. They're all going to have 88, 89 wins. So there's your average. Okay? Does that make sense? So that argument does not fly about, watered down and the third wild card team is generally not a great team. I don't buy that. And I think the numbers sort of back it up. So just something to think about if you hear that argument. Give you some ammunition to disagree with them. But anyways, so with that, let's check the comments one more time before we head out and let you people get yourself ready for what should be a fun night of baseball. Let's see. Oh, Gary says, Glenn, do you think Major League Baseball should keep the divisions but seed the playoff teams by records 1 through 6? No, I would. I think you have to reward a team for winning the division, even if you got a couple wild card teams who have better records than a division winner, and you're going to have that. I mean, it happens. I'm just looking at it. It happens occasionally. It happens a fair amount where you get a wild card team that has a better record than a division winner. But I do think you need to reward a division winner. So my question to you would be, or my answer to you would be no. I'm okay with the way they do it right now. 2 best records get some time off, and you get the only thing I would like to see is maybe make that wild card series 5 games and then make the division series 7 games. And I think a lot of people feel that way as well. But I'm okay with the way it's set up right now. I am. It's good stuff. And Gary also said, yeah, in 2023, and that's what we just talked about. The Diamondbacks made it to the World Series with an 84-78 record. They were the number 3 wild card team. So, hey, it happens. Sweep, that would be sweet, says 49er Red Zone. He's getting ready for the Niner game. All right, so you know what? I appreciate all the comments as always. But we're going to wrap this thing up because I know people want to get situated, get a good spot, in front of the television, get ready for Dwayne and Mike and what should be another super fun night of baseball. I'm going to do the same thing. Going to enjoy it. And believe it or not, the San Francisco Giants are tied for the 3rd wild card spot. I don't know that any of us thought we would be saying that. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't think I would be saying it. A month and a half ago, but we are, and we've hung with them, and we've gone through downtimes, and the team has battled back, and now they're pretty darn fun to watch, and we'll see if they can pull it off. They still got a lot of work to do. We'll just see if they can hang in there and do it. So, and just a reminder, I'm going to be with Marty Lurie tomorrow. So we'll have another show tomorrow night. Giants Dodgers, big weekend. We thought it's important to get some shows out and get you guys ready for the rest of the season. So I will be on with Marty. And you can see the show on both of our YouTube channels, mine, the Glenn Kuiper Show, All Giants, and Marty Lurie and Friends. So join me here or join me with Marty, but we'll come your way right after the game tomorrow. So right around 4:00. So a nice post-game edition. We'll see what happens tonight and tomorrow. But make sure you join Marty and I for that. We'll have some guests on, and as always, that's a fun conversation of baseball. So join us for that. And remember, hit the subscribe button. Subscribers are continue to flow in. Hit the like button. Your comments have been great. And if there's anything you want to see more of, I've mentioned to everybody out there, hey, you guys want to talk some NFL when the season gets going a little bit? And it was like, yeah, sure. So if there's anything you'd like to talk more about, you let me know. And that's what we'll do because I'm here for you guys. So I appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed tonight's show. And we'll see you tomorrow. Again, a post-game edition of the Glenn Kuiper Show, All Giants. And as always, the show is brought to you by Tilden Properties. By investing with Tilden Properties, you'll see quarterly dividends and equity buildup in the real estate market. So good people at Tilden Properties, you can give them a call at 925-209-8558. And you see the website, tildenproperties.com, as they have been around again since 2008, featuring purchases of multi-family real estate in California. They're good people. They know what they're doing. You should think about investing with them. And the Kehrig Real Estate Team since 1978. The Kehrig Real Estate Team has been helping families buy and sell homes across the Bay Area with a legacy of client-first service. Whether you're moving up, downsizing, or making your first purchase, trust the Kehrig Real Estate Team to guide you home. Contact Mike Kehrig at 925-548-4132. Check out their website at kehrigteam.com. So as always, we thank our sponsors, the Kehrig Real Estate Team and Tilden Properties. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show. Tried to cover a little bit of everything, but most important, Giants baseball, Giants and Dodgers coming up in just a little bit from Oracle Park. See you tomorrow night at 4 o'clock for a post-game edition of the Glenn Kuiper Show. Have a good one, everybody.